Welcome to the Two Chicks Talk Writing podcast with your host, Isabella, and new host, Jazzy Mitchell. This episode, we talk writing with Jazzy. So without further ado, let's launch this baby.
So you said you got your start in fan fiction. Was there a particular canon that you wrote in fan fiction?
Yes. So I started with Star Trek Voyager, which was Captain Janeway in Seven of Nine. And then many of those writers within the fandom start to write for The Devil Wears Prada. And I love that fandom. So I've been there, and I still try and write some fan fiction a couple times a year for them because I find that because it's contemporary fiction, the Devil Wears Prada. The Devil Wears Prada is from 2006, so contemporary. And I love being able to explore the dynamic of an employer and an employee, age gap, Ice Queen, some of my favorite tropes, actually.
Oh, okay. So how many stories have you put out then? Or how many, I'm assuming, are these short stories? Is it a series?
Yes, I tend to do short stories between, I'd say, about 20,000 and 60,000 words. And shorter, one-shots, they call them, maybe up to 10,000 words. So I've written about all sorts of things happening within the world as we see it. And with The Devil Wears Prada, you have a female executive at the top of her game. She's editor-in-chief for a magazine. And then you have her second personal assistant, not even a first assistant. And I loved exploring what's it like when you first enter the workforce and what happens when you're working for someone who's so high up and very demanding. You can find these types of stories everywhere, and people who are in the workforce experience that often.
That power dynamic.
I wanted to look at that. Yeah. First time I started talking with someone who had read all my works, and she was like 14, and I was like, uh-oh. But so it is something to keep in mind.
Right.
And when you think of some of these writers, they write horribly violent stories. And I always worry about that because that really can make a difference in a young mind with how they input that information. And it's just like books. I mean, you can't really police who's going to read what.
Okay. So you like that power dynamic then?
I do.
I don't think there's a way for us to police.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
That's right. Probably everyone will want to see why.
I always say, I wish one of my books would come up on a banned book list. That might be the best thing for them, right?
Thanks for listening to the Two Chicks Talk Writing podcast with your host, Isabella, and new host, Jazzy Mitchell. Join us next week as we talk all things writing.